Master Chief finally takes his helmet off, and his face is just your Microsoft avatar underneath.
It's just the like shitty Xbox 360 era like monkey that you've had for 15 years.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
It was really a prolonged O.
Yeah, I usually don't draw it out that long, and it is going to be confusing when the listener comes into experience this because I always cut out the goes. Maybe I should keep them in sometime. We'll peek behind the curtain.
Just if there's ever a BTS of video game Podtimism, just do all the goes, just in one line.
A supercut go? A go supercut?
Yeah, a supercut or just all of them at the same time.
It's a displeasurable listening experience,
Yeah,
I am
it would
sure.
be the opposite of good. But interesting, right? Are you coming here to be entertained? Are you coming here to flex your brain with the Podtimists and see how we do things behind the curtain, behind the veil of Chase?
Challenge your expectations. Yeah, challenge your expectations with Chuck Butby. That's
master of the internet.
Somebody's going to come and this is going to be their first episode and they are going to think that my real name is Chuck Butby.
Dude, you know, props to you if you got this far in life having the name Chuck Butby.
Sorry to all my real life Chuck Butbys out there. I'm sure there's... Okay, hold on. Can you give me the over under on there being a real Chut Butby out there in the world somewhere?
Oh my god. Like the odds of there being a real Chut Butby?
Yeah. Of there being a possible Chut Butby in existence.
I'm giving that a pretty firm 0% chance.
Yeah. The internet does not yield much results for the phrase Chut Butby.
I got things in different languages, so there's no such Chut Butby person in the world.
I don't think there is a Chut Butby, which is like, it's kind of a letdown if I'm being honest.
A little bit, but we're free to make fun of the name as much as we want now.
Yeah. Ooh, get wrecked, Chut Butby.
We're going to have to go back through the records of every living human ever and make sure there's never been a Chut Butby.
I wouldn't want to put any shade on someone's grandpa. Grandpa Chut.
Grampy Butt. That's how he preferred to be called, Chase, please.
Yeah. It's his nickname. Wow, this is a bad intro. We came up with a bad one this time, I think. We didn't do very good this time.
We finally did it. We finally did a bad intro.
Oh, yeah.
You're welcome, Drew. This one was for Drew, actually.
At long last, we put together a bad intro, finally.
Just rambling nonsense.
Hey, it's Video Game Podtimism. It is the Optimist video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. My name is not Chut Butby, it's actually Chase, and I'm looking forward to GOTY season. That's my thing this week.
I really need to start parsing things down because, man, I played some pretty good games this year.
I
not
know.
Gonna lie.
Yeah,
there's some pretty good games on this list.
It is pretty good. It's also confusing because there's not a clear standout. I know that literally every podcaster about video games has said that this year, but genuinely, it is shocking how like varied somebody's list could be.
Mine's going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
I think I'll try and give precedent to games that came out this year.
Sure.
But I don't think I'm going to limit it to games that came out this year like you do.
Yeah, your list typically is games of your year rather than the year.
Yeah. Games I played for the first time this year.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to see, compare and contrast.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm David.
Hello.
And I will be spending probably way too much time making my game of the year list and just fretting over the details.
Yeah, it's challenging. This one's hard because I'm trying to wrestle with like, do I reward games that have like been mechanically just incredible, or like which ones are like narratively incredible, because that's a big deal for me. I've for sure got number one. That one's like locked and loaded, no problem.
Dyson Sphere program.
No, Dyson Sphere is not number one. Spoilers. But the big issue, which we will talk about, I'm sure, is that there is now a ring-sized wrench that has been thrown into my whole list. I truly don't know where that game is going to go.
Oh man, yeah, that's going to be a topic of conversation today for sure.
I don't know where to put that very good video game. Hey, speaking of which, have you been playing video games?
I have been.
Okay, which ones?
First one I want to talk about is that Mallory and I have gotten back into It Takes Two.
Oh, okay, yeah. This came out earlier in the year, right? And it's like this sort of like co-op adventure game.
Yeah, so each player takes control of one of two characters. Either it's a couple that you're playing as, so you're either the husband or the wife, and you've been shrunk down into dolls, and you now must go and find your daughter and make her cry so that you can become humans again.
Okay.
And this is all with not the sub story, but just the underlying theme is they are in the throes of getting a divorce.
Right. Yeah.
And which is very hard on their daughter. And now they have to kind of rely on each other and learn how to trust each other again through these trials and tribulations that go through as these doll creatures to turn back into humans. So that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
The levels are varied, which is great. There's always some sort of different mechanic that they introduce in every level, whether it's like one person, throws something that can be exploded and the other person has to shoot it to do damage or open up different pathways. One person's flying the plane, the other person is using the turret to like shoot down enemies and open up pathways, stuff like that. Yeah. So it's fun. You definitely have to collaborate and talk. A lot with the other person, and it's fun playing with Mallory because she just interacts with games very differently than I do. Yeah, so it's an interesting experience doing it with her since I am a
grizzled gamer
and she is not part of that world usually, but she does quite well. So it's a fun time, and it definitely makes you have to flex kind of your relationship muscle as well. Which is interesting. An interesting experiment they do, and I was glad to see that it won Game of the Year. I think it definitely has great graphics, good gameplay, feels good to be these little doll creatures, and definitely if this wins this winning Game of the Year, I hope that it encourages other developers to start making more games like this that are designed for two people and aren't like super difficult, so that you can just kind of enjoy it with somebody else.
So I listened to the conversation on the Besties about this earlier in the year, and they like really didn't like it, which really? At the time, at the time I was like, okay, well maybe this game isn't for me. And it's been sort of odd to see, like I guess I just didn't really pay much attention to other opinions at the time, because I was like, oh, this game got Game of the Year from like the Game Awards or whatever. I was like, that's kind of surprising. Yeah, it's making me want to maybe take another look at it. I think their main complaints about it were that the like beliefs about relationships are a little weird in there. Like by the time you get to the end, you're like, I don't know if I totally agree with that, or at least that was their opinion. And that like some of the parts can be like a little brutal in spots,
like gameplay wise,
like I guess narratively or like contextually. I don't know. Again, I didn't play the game, so I don't have a ton of context to speak to, but yeah, I'm interested to like maybe go and play this with them and see kind of how that goes. Because I don't want to like totally write it off. And especially now that you're saying that you enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, I haven't beaten it, so I can't say to the overall like theme or resolution to the story of what they're talking about there. But there hasn't been anything that has like shown any like red flags to me narratively at all. I mean, they definitely have a toxic relationship, and I think that's kind of the point, is that they're trying to uncoil this toxic relationship. Maybe not for the best reasons so far, but I'm interested to see where it goes and just see how it resolves. Yeah. So yeah, cool. Worth a look, worth a play, I would say. And at the very least, the graphics are really good and the gameplay's fun.
Yeah, it's interesting. I may have to give it another look. Again, you saying that it's good, and then also getting Game of the Year is like, I should probably at least like look at this. Cool.
Yeah, I've also been playing Halo Infinite.
Yeah, me too. I was hoping we were going to get to talk about this one.
Almost exclusively. I don't think I've played anything else besides It Takes Two and Halo Infinite this past week.
I've got like one game on my list, and then the game that we're talking about today for our main thing, and also Halo. Like I have so much shit about Halo that I need to talk about.
Yeah, because what's changed since the last time we did this cast is that the campaign dropped. Now the campaign is out in the world.
Yes, yeah.
And it's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's a very bizarre experience playing this game. There are so many parts of it that are so good, and so many parts of it I'm like not mixed on, but just like almost confused. And it's like when you try a new food and you're like, I don't know if this is good or not, and like you keep eating it, trying to figure out like, do I like this?
Do I like this flavor?
Yeah, it's either like really good or maybe not, and I'm not really sure yet. And like, it's very odd. So I guess like background for anybody who doesn't know what this game is, which might be some of y'all. Halo Infinite just came out, the campaign part of it. I think it's been 6 years since Halo 5 came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a really long time, and that kind of snuck up on me when they were like, "Oh, Halo Infinite's coming out." I'm like, "All right, cool." Like, it wasn't that long ago that 5 came out, so that's cool. But they're like, "No, like that's the amount of time that like a series can kind of reinvent itself." And I think this game kind of did.
Yeah, it definitely was trying to.
And so I'm backing up even further. 343 Studios has been in charge of Halo since like 2010 or something. It's actually been quite a long time.
Yeah.
I think the anniversary game was their first. They like
the Master Chief Collection.
No, earlier than that. It was the anniversary of the first
just
one.
the original. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was the first one where you could like swap the old and new graphics on and off, which like ruled. I loved that part of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they took over for Bungie, who had been doing it before, and Bungie, of course, went on to do Destiny and Destiny 2. And so I think, as far as somebody who's been playing this for a long time, there's always sort of been this like shoe-filling response, it feels like, to the new Halo games coming out.
Yeah.
And at this point, the 4 is almost like 10 years old at this point.
Yeah.
And
it's been a while.
It's been a long time. And so for all intents and purposes, like 343 is the developer of Halo, but I think there's always been a bit of like, what does this company do different than Bungie? Like, is it doing Bungie well enough? Is this like an approximate enough Bungie cover band? Or are they trying to do something different? And like, how do they shape that experience?
Yeah.
It's just been a little odd, not for better or worse. Just that's kind of the context that I usually come to when I play these. And I doubt that that is very unique. I bet a lot of people, or at least the folks who have played a lot of Halo, kind of think about it that way.
That's how I feel about it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They took over from Bungie. Bungie made it what it is.
Yeah.
And there was always that little voice in the back of your head of like, what if Bungie made this one?
Yeah.
How would this be different if Bungie made it? You don't know. You just don't know.
No, and it's so hard to like have that conversation. Like when I actually interrogate that, like, and think about it, it's just like an impossible question, right? Like, this sort of stuff happens all the time where like, you'll like a band for a while and then, I don't know, like the singer leaves or something like that. And you're like, what is, like, I think I like this new thing maybe, but like, what would it be like with the original or something like that, right? Like,
exactly.
It's such a challenging way to think about how art develops and how somebody makes something new in sort of the shadow of the first thing they did. Anyway, 4 and 5 to me felt like they were experimenting with maybe like the story of Halo. Like,
yeah,
the
that's where they were trying to
it.
make their stand in those two games was the story, it felt like.
Yeah, the lore was a little bit changed and the story was a little bit different than it normally is. It went a little bit more sci-fi, if I could maybe interpret that.
Yeah.
Which me personally, I was totally cool with. I had no problem with them like going harder sci-fi. I think the first 3 were so focused on Master Chief and Cortana and that whole sort of back and forth, and then the Covenant fight that was going on with the UNSC or whatever it is. And so 4 and 5 felt like they were kind of experimenting narratively, but Infinite seems like it is doing a lot of other stuff. So contextually, just like details of this video game, you play the first couple of missions in this one, and it is by and large a regular Halo game.
Yeah,
like they're
straight down the middle.
Exactly. Yeah, they're very linear, and it is just kind of like you're shooting dudes, a lot of brutes and some grunts, and you're shooting folks, and it's sci-fi.
Sometimes you get some new weapons, sometimes you're in space, sometimes you're not.
And so I think that goes on for, I don't know, maybe an hour or so. I've heard that people didn't really like that intro, that it's a little slow. I don't know if it's just like I'm used to Halo, but I was like, it's fine. Like it just felt like normal Halo to me.
Yeah, it felt like putting on an old pair of shoes.
Kind of.
Like, I know these shoes. These are good shoes.
So I wonder if that's like nostalgia clouding my judgment. But by and large, I was like, if the whole game was this, I would probably still play it. Like I'd still be cool with that.
That was Halo 5.
Yeah, pretty much. So the big thing that they experiment with is that after, I think it's the second or third mission, you come out and essentially you're on one of these Halo rings, Zeta Halo. And the game just pretty much opens up into an open world game.
Yeah.
And you are free to do essentially what are side quests and main sort of missions, right? It's
bases to capture, there's Marines to save, there's power-ups to find, pretty basic open world stuff.
Yeah, and so it's perhaps straightforward in that way, but I think it's taking a lot of stuff from other games in that part and trying to wrap it into the Halo package, which is, again, this is the part that I think it's like the new food that I'm trying to figure out if I like or not. Part, like, at moments I'm like, this is absolutely incredible, and like like such an evolution, and other times I'm like, is this just Assassin's Creed? Like I don't know. I think like I'm erring on the side of this is incredible and so cool, but there's little hints every now and then of like, am I sure? Am I totally sure about that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think right now I'm kind of falling in the line of they did a really good job of turning Halo into a modern video game, and I'm really thoroughly enjoying it, but I don't know if it like knocked my socks off incredible like playing Breath of the Wild was for the first time, right?
Yeah.
It's like, don't get me wrong, it's like it's really good, but
I know, like it's immediately one of the best games I played this year.
Yeah, because the controls are tight, you know, it's kind of always felt like this is what Halo kind of always wanted to be in a way.
Yeah.
And they've kind of unlocked it because, you know, always in those Halo games, my favorite part is always, you know, mucking around in the vehicles in the open spaces and running over grunts and like getting onto the turret and like shooting people and just kind of having that free roaming aspect to it. And then there's those other sections where it's like you're going into essentially like a dungeon, right?
Yeah.
You're like going into some sort of deep Forerunner structure. And I think that this style of game just deals with those transitions better and just makes them feel more fluid and real, as opposed to just that linear pathway. But yeah, it just doesn't seem like it does anything original for itself. It just kind of takes a lot of things that other games did really well and does them really well, and then adds Master Chief in and the Halo combat formula, and it's amazing. That's kind of where my feelings on it at the moment.
I think I'm in a pretty similar spot. Like I cannot understate how good it feels every time you get into combat with somebody.
Oh yeah.
Like at no point have I felt bored. At like zero points in this game have I been like, ugh, another camp to clear out. I'm like, how are they going to fuck me up this time? And how am I going to adjust my game?
I do appreciate that there's different enemies at different camps.
Yeah.
There's like the one that's like two elites that are camouflaged with swords, and you're just like rolling up on the camp. You're like, where is everybody? And they just get you. It's great. Yeah.
No, it's phenomenal. It's worth pointing out, I think Halo has always had a pretty interesting relationship with difficulty in that I think the enemies scale in a way that is not just they do more damage to you. I think genuinely on easy, they're quite dumb. Yeah. And like that's good because like I think the experience of playing Halo on easy is a god simulator where you're just like this Apollo, like Greek fucking god just wandering through battlefields and destroying everything.
It's actually Zagreus underneath that helmet.
Yeah, like it's a fun game. And like, so I'm playing on, I think it's heroic, and like that's usually the move because I've heard from like the you know, on forums and shit, like that's the intended experience, right? Like they've tailored the game to give you the right amount of challenge there, especially after having played like just, you know, eons of Halo. I've played this game so much. Legendary feels like I'm trying to punish myself. Normal feels like totally cool and fine, and heroic feels like the right amount of challenge. Yeah, because I kind of do want to have to think about how I approach these like encounters a little bit, and sometimes get punished for like being an idiot or like approaching it in a way where I'm like, I've got a needler and one rocket and expecting to like win in that situation. Yeah. But anyway, to the point we were talking about before, like just the sheer amount of combat feels incredible. Like that it always feels good, and it always could stand on its own. And so like all the other stuff is really interesting to see, like how does that mesh with it. I had written down like there are so many other games in this game, just constant other, like not references but like taking little bits and pieces. I think the clear and most obvious one is Breath of the Wild, right? Like it's a big open map where there are no real distinctions between places. It's all just sort of open. Yeah. And like you were saying, that's something I feel like Halo was kind of trying to fake in the beginning to great effect, right? Like I think that it's like the second or third level in Halo 1, the silent cartographer, where you land on
cartographer, baby.
It's so good. You like land on the beach and it's just like immediately fucked. You're like fighting the Covenant.
You get in the Warthog.
You get in the Warthog and like drive around. There's like a hunter encounter. You go like underground a couple of times. Like that felt expansive at the time. Like it felt very big. And so I think the way that they're structuring this game is much more in line with what the game was always trying to do. I think you had kind of said that already. Yeah. It makes sense in this way. Like, yeah, like why would we skip the parts where Chief is just like going to another place? Like just do that. Let him do that. So that part of it, I think, is like, you know, of course everybody wants to be the new Breath of the Wild, but I think it does make sense here. I don't think it's like out of the question to apply Breath of the Wild to this formula. And I think it works, like, for the most part.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's just being able to explore the Halo ring unencumbered by cutscenes or, you know, invisible walls. It's very freeing. Especially with the amount of traversal options they give you in this one.
The goddamn grapple hook.
The grapple hook is my baby. That is my child right now.
It would be so challenging to play an older Halo without this at this point. It is so satisfying.
And they give you that little bit of momentum, like that's carried over even after you like do a second jump. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good.
You can like genuinely do the Skyrim thing where you're like, I know there's a path to the way that I need to go, but I could so easily just like scale this.
I'm scaling this mountain.
Oh my God. Yeah. And it's always fun every time.
Except it's not the Skyrim thing, because I'm not just slamming X, praying not to just start sliding down the mountain. I'm just grappling it up, baby.
I'm so glad that they chose to let you do that, where like you can, I guess for reference there, you can upgrade your grapple hook to the point where if you're on just a wall, just a vertical wall, your cooldown of your grapple will be short enough that you can gain altitude. It will come off of cooldown quick enough to the point where you would, you know, latch onto a spot above where you were before, essentially.
Yep.
And so you really can yeet yourself around this map, man. It feels incredible.
You can Spider-Man yourself around the map.
It's really good. Yeah.
So good.
I got into like a foresty area earlier today, and I was like, oh, I could just like Spider-Man around this thing. And yeah, you can just kind of fly around in the trees. Like you just grapple from one to the next. It's really great.
Or is it more like an Attack on Titan then?
Yeah, that's true. No, yeah, like Spider-Man's just kind of shooting and swinging, but it's Attack on Titan because you can kind of like grapple into the wall beside you a little bit and like whip yourself around a corner.
Yeah, you got momentum. I think they really nailed the momentum from the grapple hook. It feels like the appropriate amount to make it feel like, I'm just like swinging, but not so much that I'm out of control or ever like not able to really kind of precisely put myself where I want to go. Yeah. Really good.
No, yeah, it feels incredible. So like that part of it, that feels a little bit Spider-Man-y. It's a little bit Just Cause.
Definitely Just Cause vibes as well. Yeah. Grapple.
What else? There's a little bit of God of War in here in the way that they're like telling the story. There are very few breaks in like the camera shot from one bit to the next.
I see that.
Like there's a little bit in the beginning when it like just starts, but from then on in, it's pretty much it. Every moment of the game is pretty much like structured from one bit to the next without any cuts.
I mean, it's a great way to direct a game, I think, honestly. Like it feels really good.
Yeah, it imposes a certain amount of restriction in that like you can't give characters a ton of time to let something sink in. Like I got to, I'm probably like 7 hours in or something like that. And I got to a major story beat with Echo 1216, the like pilot that you're hanging out with, which I need to talk about in a second because it's very bizarre, that whole character thing.
Yeah.
But I got to like a major plot beat and he's like, what, have we known each other for like 6-7 hours? I'm like, oh yeah, like it hasn't been very long since they've like been hanging out with each other. Yeah. And anyway, point being, the restriction of God of War is definitely there, but it also can certainly make for like pretty impactful moments where it's like I can see somebody changing over the course of like a day or two, which is pretty neat. I think that like we were sort of touching on before, there's a lot of like the kind of Ubisoft open world model here.
Yeah, they have like the assassination targets and everything.
Yeah, they got the assassination targets. They've got the sort of like you get a forward operating base, and that like allows you to see the map a little bit better. A bunch of like icons open up on your map, and so I think that it's I'm like reluctant to call it clashing with the Breath of the Wild stuff, but it's kind of similar in that like Breath of the Wild very rarely gave you big flashing icons on your map to say like go here to get the new shrine. It was like you kind of just got to go like out and
just
find
wander.
Yeah, and so I think it ends up relying a little bit less on the player's curiosity or creativity and more on the Ubisoft model of like here's all the stuff you can do.
Totally.
Which I don't think is bad necessarily, but it does come with the amount of baggage that the Ubisoft stuff has. which is a certain amount of like, this has been done a lot.
Been done a lot. When I have that many things to do, I just feel sometimes stressed because I'm like, I have to do all of these things before I move on with the story. Like I have that like just chuddy gamer inside of me where it's like, I gotta, check all the boxes before I move on. I'm trying to fight against it, but it's just like, I feel like I'm fighting against myself sometimes. That's my experience with those so many different icons on your mini map. That's how it makes me feel. Forza Horizon as well.
Yeah, no, Horizon did the same thing. Yeah. Forza suffers from that a little bit too, where there's like a million icons and like you really need to filter for the ones you want to do.
My poor stupid eyes have no idea what anything is in that menu. Like I don't have the discrimination to be able to tell what's yellow and what's green. Like it ain't happening.
Fair. Yeah, for sure. No, it's like an actual thing. Yeah. I don't know if it's good or bad, and I think it's just a consequence of like they had to go one way in the open world genre, and I think building a Breath of the Wild kind of game requires you to build in such a level of detail into the world, whereas the Ubisoft one, it's like it can kind of just tell you where something is and you can go up there and find it.
Yeah.
And so I think that might be the part that I'm trying to figure out if it's sitting okay with me or not. Because so much other stuff feels so good. And so it's like I'm trying to see like, is the lack of, I guess, player curiosity something that's really gonna like deter me from thinking that this is a really good game? And so far my answer is no. Like it's still really fun and I still like going and doing all the things. And I love the idea of fighting these little, like, incredibly powerful grunts that you have to go find.
I know, right? I like the big bad grunts. They're fun.
They're hilarious. I love that. I think, like, it might just be my experience of playing, like, the first or second Assassin's Creed and then knowing how history has worked after that and being like, please 343, do not put out like 8 more of these kind of games.
You have some PTSD.
A little bit. Like it feels like the creativity and the fun in the Assassin's Creed games kind of got like left behind after a certain point. And like it's still a fun game and still a good game, but it is not the sort of like wondrous experience that it was playing the first one or the second one.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little bit like scared of like, please don't like put out literally infinite Halos of this.
Yeah, it's still good.
It's still really good. That's the thing. It's like I can't even like linger too long on like criticizing it because it's incredible. Like it feels so good the whole time.
And I think it's hard to criticize a game and be like, why didn't you put in the same amount of detail that Nintendo did with Breath of the Wild and just lead me through this gigantic world you created instead of telling me where to go? Like
it's a horrendous standard to hold anything
that is
to.
An almost impossible standard. It feels like. Because, I mean, they just built this game so clearly with so much care and detail that I think I will forgive them that one. I wouldn't even call it a transgression, right?
Yeah.
It's just that one thing that they didn't do that's like Breath of the Wild. So, because I don't know if I need that from Halo. I don't know if I need that kind of sense of exploration in a Halo game. Maybe a little bit, but not as much as like an action adventure game. I think it's a difference in genres too for me. And that this is a shooter. I'm trying to go and shoot some folks. Tell me where to go and shoot. So maybe that's just my 2 cents, but I see where you're coming from.
I totally agree. And like it almost wouldn't make a lot of sense if Master Chief was just like, in every cutscene, he's like, we're gonna fucking kill them all and finish this fight. Yeah. And then like in the next scene, you get control of him and you're like, I'm gonna go see what's on top of that mountain. Yeah. Like it doesn't make a lot of sense. Whereas like
some ludonarrative dissonance, you would say.
A little bit, right? Like people always talk about that with Breath of the Wild. That's kind of a weird part that like Link is like, I gotta stop Calamity Ganon. But also, what if I found all these tiny little woodland creatures, these Koroks instead?
But also this lake on this map looks like a heart. I should probably go check that out.
I gotta go see what's in there. I gotta
go see what's up.
Versus, I think that Master Chief is much more like, I gotta fix this problem.
Yeah, he's a driven military man, so he has his waypoints and he go.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the chief simulator, Chase.
Speaking of all the like story stuff, I don't really know what's going on in the story. Like I listened to like what you need to know before starting Halo Infinite on YouTube or whatever, and like some of those were like kind of helpful. But I was also just like sort of confused about what was going on for a while, and I think I get what's happening, but like it took me a second of like what's really going on here. they essentially start the game with you getting like kicked out of a spaceship.
Spoilers, should we say?
I guess so. Yeah, it's like it's one of the first cutscenes. Like it happens immediately.
Yeah.
I won't go into spoilers for like most of the game, but that was probably the first thing. I think the person who you're fighting is called Atriox. Atriox. Yeah, he's a brute, and this is like a group of, they're not Covenant, but they're the same races that comprise the Covenant.
They're a splinter faction of the Covenant called the Banished.
Yes, exactly. Which for all of you paying attention at home. Are from the Halo Wars games. So
yes, they're the same thing as the Covenant, but they're now red armor instead of regular Covenant armor.
And they're like led by brutes.
And they're led by brutes instead of prophets and elites. Yeah.
So that's a thing. And the game, again, within the first 10, 20 minutes, it like time skips 6 months, and you wake up as Chief on this like little tiny pelican that this dude has been apparently living in for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it, like, apparently, so what has happened is that Atriox has become like a martyr for the Banished, and that he like died killing you, essentially. Like he was on, it looked like he was on an exploding ship, and so I was like, okay, well, maybe he died, and he did. So far as I can tell, maybe he comes back. Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway, so you end up on Zeta Halo, and like the Banished have essentially like won already. You know, the human forces are like scattered. Like there are just a handful of humans wandering around Zeta Halo.
Mm-hmm.
And that itself also feels very Breath of the Wild, in that like you have missed the apocalypse, right?
You started off losing.
Yes, which is an interesting place to couch it, right? Like it's much, I don't know, it's more interesting than just like, let's retread old Halo where like we might be able to beat the force that's fighting us. Like, no, you already lost. Like, and Echo 216, the like dude who you finds you, is like very adamant about like, dude, we lost, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, he lets people know we lost all the time.
And so your experience of playing this game is very much just like wandering from place to place, like destroying the Banished, and sometimes like freeing humans. It's very odd playing this, because the game is very interested in telling you like, Master Chief fucking owns, dude.
Yeah, people are scared of Master Chief. I'm a monster to these folks that I'm killing. I'm the coolest human around, essentially.
I rescued a group of humans at some point, and one of them came up and they're like, I lost hope before Chief. Never again. And like, that's like, damn, dude. Okay. Like that's wild.
Yeah. I think it's in the beginning. They're talking about, one of the brutes is talking to Master Chief, and it's just like talking about how great you are. And it's just like, and the hope that you inspire in your fellow man is misplaced. And you're just like, oh, he's talking shit about your hope, Chief. It's just so much characterization of Chief being just the beacon of hope for humanity. They talk about it a lot.
Yeah, and like that's a fine story. You were mentioning to me that Adam Sessler had said like the story is kind of nothing.
Yeah.
And like so far that's definitely true, and like Halo's always kind of been like that, so I don't have a super high standard for like the incredible narrative design in a Halo game. But they sort of poke at the edges of stuff that's good every now and then. I like
just poking it with a stick. Is this good?
Pretty much, right?
Good?
Like I can't remember where I was hearing this, but folks were talking about like how the newest God of War like interrogated the belief system that was in the old God of Wars, like how Kratos acted in those, and like the effect of that, you know, like how does it work to have a son after you're just like this monstrous killing machine, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and like for all intents and purposes, like Master Chief is a little bit less screamy than Kratos, but like he just like gets dropped into his zone and kills everything. Like that's it for him, other than humans, I guess. Yeah, it's his fucking job. And so like they poke at that every now and then, but like I wish the amount of time that they had spent talking up how fucking cool and sick Master Chief is, and how like everybody loves him, and spent a little bit more time like trying to figure out like who is this dude, and what is the effect of doing this for so long. Because like he literally woke up after 6 months of thinking he was dead, or not even thinking, right? Like he was stuck outside in like space.
Yeah. And
he just immediately is like, okay, I gotta go kill some more. And like that's That's the thing. And so I wish they leaned a little bit more into that, but that's not something I'm usually thinking about when I'm playing it. I'm just kind of like, well, what are they going to do now?
Maybe you should just read a fucking book, Chase.
Yeah. I mean, like, honest, I did read the first like Halo book when that came out. And that was, it was much more interested in like the effect of what turning into a Spartan did to somebody. I think John was like young in that one, which
they were
was
all
pretty
young.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. He like came up with some other Spartans, which was interesting. But like, there's no reason you can't do that in this game too.
It's true. That's true. I do wish they would provide a little bit more of the characterization that is obviously in a lot of the books in the game. Yeah. Because, I've played every single Halo game, and Master Chief, although, as I mentioned before, is certifiably cool.
Yes.
I don't know a goddamn thing about him.
Yeah.
I don't know a single thing about him.
Who he is now, or like what has happened, or like what's been...
how has the effect, how has these last 5 or 6 games affected Master Chief at this point? We don't know. Yeah. Apparently not at all is what it makes it want to seem like, which is interesting in its own right, but why is he this way?
Yeah, and it's I think it leans on the idea that he's this like myth, right? Like he's just a legend of the Greek god sort of pantheon. But yeah, I think it would be much more interesting if you're like, but who the dude? Who be John?
Who the dude behind the mask?
Yeah,
the
like
dude is you.
Perhaps basic, but I want Halo to be everything that it can be, and like that would be the thing that I'd be like, damn, they're really like reaching for it at this point.
What if at the end of Halo Infinite, Master Chief finally takes his helmet off and his face is just your Microsoft avatar underneath? It's been like, you the whole time, baby.
It's just the like shitty Xbox 360 era like monkey that you've had for 15 years.
Exactly.
It's me, Master Chief. You are the person of the year. Your time's person of the year.
This is you. Did you see this face that I have on my face right now? This is your face, isn't it?
It's yours.
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but this is what you chose as your profile picture. So here's Master Chief. Everybody's wanted it for a long time. Here we go.
Yes. Good Lord. Just total sidebar. This is tangential. I love, so like you pick up audio logs in this game and they're all like fine. They're like varying quality of just sort of like giving you a little bit more info.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how shitty the Brutes audio logs sound. Yeah. They sound awful. Like they sound like they're recording on just like a potato.
Yeah.
You pick up some of the humans and they're like talking and you can kind of understand them, but you pick up a Brute, it's just like this awful like,
hey, I'm Brute. I'm the Brute guy, and we're gonna totally gonna own Master Chief. We're gonna kick his ass. In fact, I think we already did. Atrax totally owned him. He 360 no-scoped him like 6 months ago. It's over, dude. GG.
It's just like if a frat bro kept like a video diary or something, just like vlogged. Frat bro vlog.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's just awful.
It is. Yeah, it is pretty good. I didn't think about that before, but yeah, their quality is definitely worse with the Brutes.
It's great. The characterization of all the races is pretty wild in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Like the grunts are like turned up to 11 on how ridiculous they are.
I know. What do they do? What are the grunts drinking in this game?
I know. It's nuts. Them and the Brutes, honestly, too. Like generally in the other games, the Brute were sort of this like war clan almost.
Yeah.
Like they are. What's the? Oh Jesus, my brain. What are the like dudes in Star Trek that just like love to fucking
Klingons?
Fight? Klingons. Thank you, Jesus. They felt like Klingons in that like they're a much more like battle motivated race of aliens, and they're like definitely still that in this one, but they're also just like so dumb in this game.
No, they're really stupid.
You're like on a ship in like the first level and you go and like blow it up essentially. Like you destroy its engines to the point where it's going to explode.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hear the Brutes on the comms and they're like,
dude, just don't fucking get out of here. We can beat this exploding ship.
Like they're like,
just don't leave.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
Just like so ridiculous.
Oh my God.
They're just like, if we can just pound our chest hard enough, the ship won't blow up or something.
I feel like the Brutes in this game are probably closer to humans in real life than the humans in this game are to humans.
It's totally true. The humans are like very composed and like normal and don't just like shoot on sight. They're all fully vaccinated, have never thought twice about getting a shot.
They're just like, duh, I don't want fucking space Ebola. I'm gonna get a vaccine.
They beat coronavirus in 2020. They
God.
had no problem with it.
What a fucking world, dude. What a goddamn world that would be.
Yeah. Anyway, this game is really good.
This
I'm
game
still
is
quite
excellent.
enjoying it.
Yeah.
I don't have a ton of other Halo stuff to say, but I did want to get a bunch of that out there because I'm almost certain it will come up in Game of the Year conversations for me.
Yeah. I think so for me as well. It's a really fucking good game. It's super fun. They really nailed the core gameplay of Halo in this one. I think that in any of the other Halos that they have done, like they just fucking nailed the feel and just the balance of everything.
It's a very good video game. Shocker. I was a little worried about it, honestly. Like the timeline and like getting pushed back, and I was like, oh man, I hope that they're like taking the time to make this game really good. And like, I don't know. I just always worry when like a delay happens of like, I hope some publisher isn't pushing them because they don't have a game yet and they need one versus like, oh, we need some more time to like get this right.
It could
versus
be either
like,
one. Flip
it could
a coin.
be either one. Yeah. And like, I didn't. So like all the hubbub when they showed it at, you know, whatever it was, I think it was like the 2020 E3 or something where like Craig was in that one, Craig the Brute. Yeah. And like, I honestly wasn't that worried about it at the time because like it's hard to show these kind of games, honestly. Like the grapple hook did not look that cool in previews to me, but like playing it is an entirely different experience. You get it the moment you swing around a corner real good.
Master Chief has never had that sort of speed and mobility at his disposal, and it's shocking the difference it makes.
It's so good. I love the fucking grapple hook, which I'll speak about more later. But anyway, I wasn't too worried about it, but I was really glad that it turned out that, you know, they took some more time to really put a higher level of polish on this.
And the game's great.
And the game is fucking great. It worked. Anyway, what other games are you playing?
That was it. It was those two games. What have you been playing?
Great.
Besides Halo Infinite.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly Halo Infinite. I've been playing a lot of that video game.
Yeah.
But the other two games that I've been playing, one of them is the game that we will talk about in Good Games, so I'm going to skip it for now. But I've also been playing Loop Hero, David.
Oh, you're back.
I'm back in Loop Hero. It recently came out for Switch, so I got it again. As you do.
You're such a dirty Switch boy.
I know, man. It's just how it be.
I get it.
It's Loop Hero just looked incredible for like pre-bedtime chill out zone.
Sure.
I'm realizing more and more that like there's this sort of like weird between zone where my brain has to go before I can go to sleep, where it's just kind of off. Like the full Windows XP turn off sound hasn't happened yet, but I'm definitely in like sleep mode. Like I could wake up if need be, but I'm not quite totally turned off yet.
Okay. How many notes of the Windows XP shut off sound are you into at that point?
We're halfway. We're at the bum bum without the bum bum.
Gotcha. You're in the valley.
Yeah, we're in the valley. We're not there. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. And anyway, so games like Slay the Spire and Monster Train and Griftlands, also all incredible video games, are perfect for this zone of my brain. It's not very good for getting better at the game, I will say.
Sure.
Because I've seen people play the game like, yeah, y'all are on some other shit. I'm kind of just rolling with the same shitty strategies until they work. But Loop Hero came into the fold, and I was like, oh, that's a great one. Because it's like not a action game. It's like by and large kind of an idle game. You're definitely still like doing shit, but it's not nearly as active as Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite. So for those of you who don't know what this game is, Loop Hero is a challenging game to describe, but essentially you are one of three classes that you'll eventually unlock. You're initially just like a warrior, and you automatically traverse this like circular map. Your little character's like walking around this map. It doesn't take very long to get around. If they encounter any enemies on this path, they will fight them. The fight also plays out automatically, so you don't have a lot of control over that. What you do have control over is once you beat enemies, you get these like cards that you can place around the map to influence how this like run goes. So if you get a mountain, then you can up your maximum HP every time you lay one down.
All right.
If you get a village, you heal when you go through there. But all of them sort of have this like a little bit of a drawback that come with them. Like if you place too many mountains down, a goblin village will show up and they just beat the ever-loving fuck out of you.
A goblin village. Oh my God.
Those guys kick my ass every time I roll by there. I like try and keep my head down and like, put my hand over my eyes so they don't like notice me. But every time they're just like, hey, get that fucker and go beat the shit out of me.
And Jay-Z's there.
Goblin, cool, zombie with no conscience. Just in the background, trying to hype him up.
He's the Goblin King, Jay-Z.
Goblin with no conscience.
It's just all Goblin. Just take Monster and just turn into Goblin.
Goblin, I don't get a goblin of it.
Oh, no. Oh, man, take me back. Take me back.
To a few minutes ago when you didn't know that existed.
Yeah. I gotta go back, Kate.
Anyway, you eventually get like a pretty, not sizable deck, but you get a lot of like cards that you can take into any of these runs. When you die, you essentially go back to your little base and try it over again. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of meta progression to the point of like unlocking new classes and new cards that you can get that are, some of them are better, some of them are worse, but you kind of just have to figure out like what your play style is. Mm-hmm. It's good. I like this game. I talked about this like when it came out, I think really early in the year. I think this was like maybe a January or February release, but it was good. I enjoyed my time with it and I'm still enjoying it. There are a handful of like user experience updates that are very welcome. You can now like leave whenever you want to from like a run. That was not possible when I was playing it. And like you don't get all of the resources that you've collected, but it's more than if you die, I think.
Sure.
You can turn the game on just like turbo mode where it just like goes really quickly, which is great because this game requires a certain amount of grinding to get through it, which is a big complaint about it. I remember when it came out that like, it's not, can't do it fast enough. And like some of that's true. And I agree that, it does require you to have runs where you're like, I am not expecting to win this time. Like I'm just here to collect resources and go back and try again.
Sure.
But again, as my half XP turn off noise brain goes, I have no problem with just sort of like plunking it on.
Let's grind this, baby.
Let's grind it a little bit. I'm totally cool with that. And it's like, again, it's almost an idle game. Like it's not totally there because you do have to be kind of active with placing your cards and figuring out what you're doing. But for a lot of instances, you can kind of just let it do it and, check in every little while. So it's definitely a game that you can listen to a podcast to. It's definitely a game you can watch a television show like the very good Hawkeye. I'm very enjoying the Hawkeye.
Oh,
recently.
you're liking Hawkeye, huh?
I'm liking Hawkeye. I like the characters in there. I'm not a big Rainer boy, but the rest of the characters in there are doing it for me.
Rainer? Oh, Jeremy Renner?
Jeremy Renner, yeah.
I see that. Yeah, he's not the most amazing, but he's good enough. He's good enough.
He's not bad. I'm mostly just characterized because he made that like app that was all about him and like a way to connect with his fans, which is just like bizarre and strange and felt so odd.
Wait, excuse me? He did what? How did I not know about this?
On Wednesday, this is a report about it. The Avengers actor announced he was shutting down his app after it jumped the shark literally. It had since been pulled, blah, blah, blah. I just want to know the name of it. What was supposed to be a place for fans to connect with each other has turned into a place that is everything I detest or can't or won't condone. This is Jeremy.
Oh, that's him.
It is the Jeremy Renner Official was the name of the app. And the iPhone screenshots of like the ad, like essentially showing what it is. The text on here say connect with 2-time Academy Award nominee Jeremy Renner on his official app, and then it shows like exclusive content, exciting giveaways with cool prizes. It's so weird. It is like as if there was Instagram specifically centered around Jeremy Renner.
Whoa!
Which it seems like a joke. It seems like a bit. That is a true thing that happened. And so like, maybe this was just like one of his like, publicists or somebody trying to get him some more clout.
Some social media influencer was like, Jeremy, let me tell you this. This is going to be the greatest idea I've ever had for you. You got to do it.
This is all true, but Jeremy had to say yes. He
did.
He took the photos of him sitting cross-armed on a stool looking like a little scamp trying to promote his Jeremy Renner official app.
Is he doing the DreamWorks face?
A little bit. It doesn't have the cocked eyebrow, but it has exactly the same energy of like, hey, welcome to the Jeremy Renner app. There's no rules here. There are definitely rules here, but like maybe there's no rules.
The only rule, don't talk about Jeremy Renner badly.
I mean, yes, genuinely. Anyway, Hawkeye's still good to me. Okay, Jesus, video games. I've talked about all 3 of the games. This will bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week, David.
Yeah?
It's the grapple hook.
Yeah.
The grapple hook in Halo or otherwise. There are a lot of good grapple hooks.
Lots of good grappling to be had in games nowadays.
Yeah. There's always the games like this or Just Cause where like it's like a freeform grapple hook. It's jazz grapple hook.
Jazzle hook?
It's jazzle hook, as they say in the industry. Scientists have been trying to figure out exactly what to call it, but they did land on jazzle hook.
Jazzle hook.
It's got a certain gusto to it, which I do enjoy. You've got your more straightforward grapple hooks. You've got your ones in like Batman, Arkham, whatever, where like you just go from one place to another. It's got sort of these like predefined spots. That feels really good. Adds a certain level of verticality.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big fan of the game Worms. I don't know if you're familiar, but I played the ever-loving heck out of that.
Oh, the ever-loving heck? Is this a Christian podcast now?
This is now a Christian Minecraft server. You're not allowed to curse on here anymore.
All right, good to know.
I loved that game.
Heckin' loved it. All right.
There was a game type that you could play online with, like, this was very surreal. You could play Worms online on, like, definitely your Windows XP computer, which I'm realizing is very weird, a weird through line in this episode so far.
It all comes back to Windows XP.
It's the XP pod. You know?
Experience Points pod.
That is another video game podcast.
I believe it.
Podcast.
I believe it.
It's quite good. They've been going for like 12 years.
Damn.
They're a long time.
Oh, geez.
Anyway, there was a game type in Worms that you could play online with other people. And it was like whenever you would look at one of the servers, it would say ropers only. And in Worms, there was a weapon called the grappling hook where you would shoot it and it would just connect into any of the walls around you. And in Ropers, the game that they played in Worms was that you had a grappling hook, a rope, I think is what it was called, but for all intents and purposes, grappling hook. You had that and a grenade, and that's it. So you essentially had to traverse whatever like level they gave you, which is usually like enclosed, so you could get up to the roof of it, and then just drop a grenade on the person that you're trying to get to. And so the fight was not necessarily can I be faster or better than the other person, because you would go in turns. So like you would just have to like go one right after the other. The challenge was like, can I get to them, which wasn't always easy because like the ropes weren't intended necessarily for like long-term traversal. It's like you when you rope into a wall, you can press up to shorten the length of it or down to make it longer.
Yeah, okay.
And then you get a little bit of like swing when you press left and right. And then from there, you have to let go of the grapple. And then at the right time, shoot your grapple again, which will immediately just like jut out to the left of you and hook into whatever you're in. So you kind of had to like, like trapeze artist go from one part to the next.
Yeah, sounds like it.
It was very fun.
Why am I getting an image of a worm's worm dressed up as Solid Snake when I'm hearing this?
I don't remember if they had skins, but that would be a really good idea. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Worms. This is a very weird part of my gaming history I don't talk about very much. I played a lot of Worms back in the day.
I think you said, and I quote, the ever-loving heck out of Worms.
It's true. I don't use heck lightly.
You don't.
A lot of Worms.
You don't.
Anyway, love a grapple hook. It's really good. Do you have something fueling your sense of Podtimism this week, David?
I do.
What is it?
It is a good environmental dialogue, I'm guessing I'm going to call this. I don't know if this is a thing, but
okay, tell me more.
I'm just really enjoying all of the grunt dialogue in Halo Infinite.
Sure, yeah. The like chatter that they have with each other.
The chatter, like when they kill you, they're just like so excited about themselves. Like,
I fucking killed him! Yes!
Just like freaking out. Like,
I'm the fucking best. I killed Master Chief.
All like the little propaganda towers that are around and just the grunt on the other end, just like talking mad shit about
really
humans and everything. Just like, oh my God, what an asshole. And yeah, it's just like kind of sneaking up on a group of not just grunts, but also all the other enemies in the game. And they're always talking. They always be talking in this game. And I like it. It makes it feel, it makes it feel so much more lively. I feel like one of the issues I had with other Halo campaigns is that it just would oftentimes feel lonely and like isolated and desolate, which I think is probably by design, but I kind of enjoy this more like, hey, I'm part of this group of folks on this place and they're all talking and we're just interacting with each other. So yeah, I like the vibe it gives the game a lot more. It feels more alive in that way.
Yeah, it seems like the enemies exist independently of Master Chief showing up to shoot them all.
Yeah, they have wants and desires, namely to kill me, the chief.
Yeah.
But they're not just mindless cannon fodder for me to shoot.
No, it's totally good. Initially I was like, why are all of the like Covenant banished people speaking English? Like, they didn't always do that.
And yeah, exactly.
The what are they called? The jackals, the dudes with like the shields.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely didn't used to speak in any words that I understood. It was just like cackles and sort of like noises.
Exactly.
But they're talking in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And initially I was like, that's kind of weird. But yeah, I totally agree. I love hearing them just like talk and say whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The grunts are obviously like the top tier, like, holy shit, this is very funny.
Yeah.
Accusing you of cheating whenever you like shoot them from behind or something like that. That's incredible.
Huh?
Or the ones who are like way overconfident and like just pull out grenades and start hucking them at you. Like, those dudes are incredible.
Yeah, I'm gonna get ya.
Yeah, exactly. It's all very good. I love seeing on like Twitter and just the internet at large the clips of people clipping like, here's this one thing that this grunt or elite said, and they're all just incredible. Like,
yeah, I think someone said like an elite just put down like his gun when he was about to be run over. He's just like,
This is it.
and it's just like gets taken out. And I'm just like, oh my God.
incredible. Like, they have enough room to do that because you're just fighting hordes and hordes of dudes. So like, it almost doesn't even phase you, but like, that's hilarious. Like, it's very odd because the game in its cutscenes takes itself very seriously.
Yeah.
But in the fight, sometimes it really doesn't. Like, it's a funny video game a lot of the time.
That's what I appreciate about it. This is an example of a game that's not afraid to just be a game at some points. Like, it can be serious as well, but there's sometimes just like all of these aliens are kind of goofy in some way. Like, the grunts are just overconfident little gremlins. The brutes are just big old himbos. The elites are just like super dramatic and just like full of themselves. And then I guess the jackals probably had like the least amount of character, but they're just like kind of weirdos. I don't know. They don't cock in complete sentences.
Their speech is sort of like stunted a little bit, and it seems like they are very just interested in making money, which I think is in line with their characterization and like
their
lore.
lore.
Like, they're like pirates essentially. They're bounty hunting creatures.
Ooh. Samus Aran gonna pop out
Oh God, I would get my ass kicked
with her poetry slam.
with Poetry Slam with Samus Aran. What a good title.
That's so good.
I love saying it every time.
Feels good off the lips. Hey, episode 43. That was a good one.
Oh, you were fucking close, David.
Oh, damn it. I wanted it so bad. What was it?
It was 45.
Damn it. Oh man, I took my shot. I felt it in the force. I was just a little off.
God, could you imagine if you sunk that half-court shot just now?
Dude, I would have retired from podcasting right then and there. It would have been it.
The NBA would have given you a Ford Fiesta for singing that one.
Do they even make Ford Fiestas anymore?
I don't know. I hope so, because it's a great phrase. Rolls right off the tongue. Hey, do you want to move on to our main thing, David?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Hey, David.
Yeah.
It's Good Games.
Oh, it is.
It's a segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear or last year.
Oh.
And gosh, all the things that we love about them.
Mm-hmm.
Because like every game deserves its time in the sun.
Sure does.
Not just your Breath of the Wilds, your Halo Infinites, or your Gex 3Ds.
Every game is beautiful.
Every perfect game is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You had a great suggestion last time we were talking about what we're going to do this week.
Did I?
You had played a game called Snowrunner last week.
I sure
and
did.
You're like, maybe we do a Good Games on this. And I said, maybe we do. And then we were like, maybe we talk about our favorite Christmas experiences of gaming's past. And I was like, I think we already recorded that.
We didn't we?
I looked back through the backlog and listened to our episodes around Christmas and couldn't find it. So maybe we didn't, but I'm so convinced that we did do this.
We need to call a moot of the Jarls and just get the collective history of our podcast from the biggest pod heads. Just see if we have done said thing.
Yeah, we need to come together with all the foremost scholars on video game Podtimists to see Who knows? Anyway, point being, we were like, well, maybe let's not do that. Let's do a good games on Snowrunner instead, which is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We're going to run that snow.
I'm in the snow. I'm cold, but I'm trying to run. Here we go.
But I'm gonna try and run. Hey, can I hit you with a few of these hot stats before we get
Please.
Hot stats. Hot stats.
Snowrunner is a game that came out April 27th of 2020. Last year.
My God. The game feels like playing through 2020 sometimes.
It does. It's a challenging sort of walk from one place to another, just trying to put one wheel in front of the other.
Huh?
This game was developed by Saber Interactive Incorporated. This company I had not heard of. And they mostly deal with like remasters and mobile games and like remakes and shit like that.
Yeah.
I know a little bit more about the Halo 1 anniversary because I had read that they had worked with 343 to build it back in the day. Like 343 got like mostly the credit there, but they're credited on working on that, as well as Time Shift, Will Rock, the Crisis Remastered series. And a whole slew of World War Z video games.
A whole slew of them.
There's a lot of video games that they made about World War Z.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Oh, I do have a review, and shockingly, it's from Joe Video.
Oh, they're still around?
I went to Joe Video's website today, David.
Oh, did you?
I witnessed Modern Joe.
Oh, was it good?
I mean, I don't speak French, so I couldn't really intuit what they were saying, but it looked like a video game website.
Did they have good code, Chase? As a code man, how would you rate their code?
Beautiful code. You got your divs in the right spots. You list items in all the perfect spaces. I loved your anchor links, baby. That's for
you could have said anything and I would have believed you.
That's for all you HTML heads out there. Which is, I'm not going to say not coding, but I don't want y'all to think that that's what I think coding is. There's a lot of other stuff. Tech is a hard place to be. There's so much nonsense. Anyway,
you're just covering all your political bases. I'm
trying to cover my bases. I don't want somebody to think that like, oh, he thinks HTML is coding, but like, also at the same time, like, why don't we encourage people to learn HTML? It's like a gateway to learning other ways to code. Like, it's like, I learned from fucking MySpace. Like, that was mostly HTML.
Get off my back, Jeff.
Jeffrey.
Bastard. Okay, so I have a review from Joe Video that I've run through Google Translate a bunch of times through a bunch of different languages, finally arriving back in English to get an artist's interpretation of their review.
So excited for Modern Joe.
Well, here you go. This is their review of Snowrunner from 2020. They said, the snow, on the other hand, became heavier when the visitors were greeted. The new system is a more powerful theme in contrast to the usual theme of life, 43 major kisses in Michigan, Alaska, and Russia, and my house. On the other hand, camera error problems still exist. It's hard to tell the real city from the real city. Sponsors have tried to provide electronic records of the problem, but we can't listen. 80 out of 100 from Joe Video.
43 separate kisses. One of them in my house.
43 major kisses in Michigan, Alaska, and Russia, and my house.
And my house. Oh my God, dude.
I would really love to know what constitutes a major kiss.
I mean,
like, is that a euphemism or are they just describing like a really good kiss?
I think it might be a kiss while Kiss is playing in the background. Maybe that's a major kiss.
Scholars call that a major kiss.
The ancient scholars call that a major kiss. Major kiss. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I love that.
That was a good one. Joe still does it. Joe still does it, dude.
They're still swinging hard in 2020. I loved that. Hey, could you tell me what Snowrunner is?
Yeah, Snowrunner is a wilderness trucking simulator, essentially.
Yes, that is true.
So you have all sorts of different trucks, like pickup trucks, semis, Jeeps, anything that can get through some mud or some snow, you can drive in this game.
Yes.
But it's also, taking a page out of Halo Infinite's book, is an open world game. So you can kind of just go wherever you want on the map. If there's a mission there, go and do it. And then, get some money, make some bridges, get to Alaska. It's all good, baby. You're a trucker. it's essentially, it's a trucking simulator. And the thing that kind of sets it apart in my mind is just how, I don't know if it's even accurate or true to life, but just how difficult it is to drive in this game. It is hard to drive in this game. Especially through all this like a deep mud and snow and water and dirt you got to just get through. It's a very interesting, very different type of driving game.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. There's like not much of a story to be spoken of. Like it kind of just hucks you into the game. Like it's like, all right, you got to go complete some contracts.
You're Joe somebody and you got a pickup truck. You got to go to the lookout tower to find your truck to do some contracts, and you to go and do it.
The structure of it's very odd. It is like you see a lot of other games in this game too. It's a little bit Halo Infinite in that way, but you go to like lookout towers to scout the map.
Why do I have to synchronize in this game?
Yeah, you're like, dude from Michigan just gets up on top of the water tower and like squats on the very tip of it, and a bird comes around.
He's like, yeah, that's some good trucking out there.
I see a truck over there now.
Yeah, there's a truck over there. Yeah, there's a truck over there. There's a man who needs some trucking done over there. Okay, I got my next year's worth of work cut out for me now.
The setup of the game, I think, is actually pretty interesting. It says that there was like a major flood where you're driving around, which sort of explains why like the roads are all just like fucked, which there's like a hint of some like environmentalism in this game, which I kind of love. Like in the tooltips every now and then, they're like, over the past like few years, there's been an increase in flooding in low rural areas. I'm like, okay, Snowrunner, go off, dude.
Yeah, you tell him, Snowrunner.
You get him.
Produced by Greta Thunberg.
This is a Greta joint.
Her signature on movies and media is the same as fucking Spike Lee's.
It's her biggest influence. I get it. Anyways, the game takes a lot from other games. Like there's the sort of like synchronization that you have to do with the outlooks.
Got to get that animus right.
Gotta get that trucking animus right. There's, I think the weirdest and most close analog in this game is definitely Death Stranding.
I was curious when you said like it was a walking you're traversing through the trucking. Yeah.
It's so weird playing this game because it is so similar.
Yeah.
So the game offers you this way to sort of like add these like specific little waypoints on your map. So you can look on your map and be like, okay, it looks like there's this path that'll go around this way, but it looks like there's a tree downed in the way that I need to go. And so you can sort of like plot your way around that. And in the same way that terrain is like a huge deal in this game, the terrain in Death Stranding is also incredibly important. Like you don't want to be running over just like the fucked up like rocky path. Yeah. Because inevitably Norman Reedus is going to fall and you're going to damage your precious property. I don't want that. And in this one, the threat is that you will get stuck or like taken downstream in a river or something like that. That you'll essentially get like into a bunch of mud if you're not careful, or like stuck in snow or something like that. And so you do have to be a little bit careful about where you're going, which again is like, it's so Death Stranding, which is so weird. Death Stranding feels so singular in the game that it was making, and then suddenly there's this other game which is like devoid of story really, which is like the polar opposite of a Hideo joint. But this one is like we're all mechanics and that's it, and like those are honestly still pretty fun. Like it's convincing to or it's compelling, I should say, that Hideo made a walking simulator, as Tim Rogers says, the Gran Turismo of walking simulators, Death Stranding.
Ooh, all right.
Where that is the core mechanic. This one also succeeds in that way. It's still fun. Like I was sort of surprised in both my experience of Death Stranding and this game that like I was still having a good time. It's still fun.
Yeah. If you make the mechanics deep enough and interesting enough, you can still get something good.
Yeah. No, it's true. Like, you know, I guess we're going into the gushing segment a little bit here, but it's fun. This game is fun. It's very odd because a lot of the times, like I could see somebody describing this game as frustrating. You're just trying to get from one end of a town to another. And like more often than not in most games, those segments are very easy. It is very easy usually to traverse from one place to another. Yep. Whether it's like GTA or literally Forza or something like that, like driving from one spot to another is usually not hard. Yeah. But in this one, it is very hard to get
very
from one
hard,
place to
and there
another.
is realistic damage to your vehicles, so you better stay on the road and not hit anything. Otherwise, you're going to be listing left for the rest of your time. So just be careful.
Yeah, no, it's I didn't think about that until like I hit something pretty hard and like my wheel well got all fucked up.
Yep.
Like my car was just permanently turning right for a while.
It's not like Forza where you can just like yeet yourself across the desert. These vibranium fucking cars that you're driving.
Yeah, no, it's there's no damage in Forza, whereas like you sneeze on your truck wrong, and this one it's like, oh, actually that's undrivable now. I'm sorry.
I'm actually dead now. Find another truck.
Can we talk about like the vibe of this game real quick?
Oh yeah, hit me.
Very weird. I don't know who this game is meant for.
Me neither. That was my big takeaway from the game is who is the person that they want to play this game? Like I kind of understand Farming Simulator. Like who wants to play Farming Simulator? I get that. But like are they going for like ice road trucker enthusiasts? Are they going for like just that kid inside all of us who wanted to one day be a truck driver and drive the big old fucking truck down the freeway all goddamn day? Like who is this for?
The sort of odd thing is that like if you were making a game for the kid who wanted to be a trucker, you're either going to go with Trucking Simulator or you're going to go with something, I guess Forza, where like driving is such a breeze, where it's just the joy of being in a very cool car.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, on one hand, makes driving really difficult. Like you really have to plot your routes. And it is not an easy thing to do. It's like, it's not easy to go anywhere or do anything. But also, the tone of the game is so weird, where like, it's just this kind of like deep Southern Americana going on in the game. I have a song from the game that I would like to play. And like, let me just show you what the song is. I'll put like what I think should be said over the song. For like maybe a more appropriate commercial for this game, but
sure.
Let me show you.
Let's hear it.
This one's called Michigan Garage. I think it's just the song that plays in your garage.
Hey gamers. You ever been outside Michigan city limits without a do or a Dorito to your name? Us ice road truckers are gonna get that done for you. Don't worry. You and Master Chief are gonna have a whole weekend full of dew and Doritos. It might be snowy and the roads might be muddy, but dagnabbit, you got the best damn mud boys on the case. We're gonna rebuild that bridge and get you your goddamn deal. Let's finish this fight.
Let's finish the fight, baby.
Like this is real music from the video game.
See, it's funny that you did that voice because that just reminds me of like mid 2000s Ford truck commercials.
Yes, no, it's just a truck commercial. Like all of the music is just a truck commercial.
Like you were doing the voiceover of the Ford truck salesman guy on TV. It's like, oh yeah, built Ford tough.
Here, hold on. Let's roll that back one more time.
I got a big old fucking truck, dude. I spent nearly as much as it costs to have a Tesla, but I got a goddamn truck instead. It gets 2 miles to the gallon. I'm ensuring that Mother Earth will go down in a ball of flames just by driving this hellish monster with 4 wheels.
And yeah, I live in New York City too.
It is totally unrealistic for me to have this vehicle in this place. No parking spot accommodates the width of my vehicle. But God damn it, I do want to drive this big car.
You can almost say anything.
If you say it in that gravelly voice,
like
you can say anything.
The most boring shit would still be cool.
You know, the way they get you with DoorDash is that you order $10 at Chipotle, and they tack on $12 more of fees.
Ah, dude, it's the worst.
What even is a delivery fee? Is that going to the driver? I can't tell.
Oh my god, dude! I think
Sorry, God.
I think we're tapping into the next wave of politicians right now. This is going to be the future of politics, where it's just a voiceover over some sort of just ridiculous, like music and backdrop. And the politician is the politician is that. That's all it is.
Yes. No, absolutely.
It's just brainwashing.
Maybe we got to flip this. Maybe we got to take it back.
Hey, you should love your neighbor.
Who should really own the fruits of your labor? Should the excess labor that you derive for a company go to you or the person you work for? Seems a little weird for me, the boss man, to be making 10 times what you're making as a cool-ass snow trucker. Maybe it's time to unionize.
Yeah, you're the one doing the damn work. You should get the money.
Yeah, we could do that. That's better.
We got something here. We got something here for sure.
I think so too. Anyway, so the point being, the tone of the game is very weird. Like, it is this like damn near simulation game with the veneer of this kind of like good old boys, let's just fucking get the job done sort of vibe to it.
When I was playing this game, I just in the back of my head just kept on playing the epilogue to Red Dead Redemption in my mind, where they're building the house and that song in the background is playing. That was what this whole game felt like to me.
Kind of, yeah. Just like, let's figure it out and build it, man.
Let's do it. Let's use our hands. Let's be some dudes doing things with our hands, and there's some music. Yeah, that's I think that's the vibe of the game.
That is kind of it. So I guess it's worth pointing out that the way that you like progress in this game is that you take on contracts that are like offered from the I don't know, like companies. They just have random nameless companies that they talk about, and you eventually just like make money from taking stuff from one place to another. You trucking.
You trucking, baby.
Yeah, so you eventually do enough of those missions, you can buy more trucks, you can get better stuff, and like it makes it easier for you to go from place to place. There's like multiple locations. You can it starts in Michigan, then goes to Alaska. I think there's a Russian location as well. If the Joe Video review is to believed, we got Michigan, Alaska, Russia, and my house.
And my house.
Which is pretty cool.
For a big kiss. Major kiss. I'm sorry.
Major kiss. Major kisses.
That was a major league smush, as the great Jerry Reynolds would say.
A triple A smush.
Triple A smush.
I feel like I'm not talking about this game. Like, I feel like I'm saying words and I'm not saying enough about Snowrunner. And that sort of is the vortex that this game creates. Like,
I think it's appropriate, honestly. I honestly think it's appropriate, as I played not a huge amount, but a decent amount of this game, and I still don't really know what happened.
No, I mean, like, there's no plot beats to be spoken of, but like, I also had a similar experience where like I think I enjoyed myself. Like, I'm glad that I played Death Stranding first and then this game. Because I think like going into this game cold would have been like, that's interesting, but a little weird. But Death Stranding delivers on the promise of having a very intense traversal mechanic.
Yeah.
That also delivers with story, whereas this one is mostly just the mechanics of it. And that's totally fine. But
go back to Rufus. Is this a good game then, Chase? It doesn't have a story. It's just mechanics, baby.
I think it is just not my game of the year. Is the difference.
Fair enough.
As the crow flies, Rufus, I'm responding to your messages on Discord while we are recording this episode. So a little shout out, a little inclusion of the listener. So I like this game.
I had a fun time. It felt like I was wrestling the car a lot of the time. Like, it felt like car wrestling, because the car just would never do what I wanted it to do. And I just kind of had to figure out the way to make it, this is going to sound bad, but submit to my will.
Sure. I mean, it's a machine.
It's a machine, and it just wasn't doing what I wanted it to do, which was frustrating sometimes, especially just in the mud. Just really got me in the beginning. I got stuck quite a bit. And you said you rolled your car a lot in this game too. Oh my God,
dude, constantly.
Yeah.
There's a mechanic where if you get stuck in the mud, you can use a winch to
winch yourself out.
Attached to like a tree or a branch or something and pull your car out. And I thought that was like a very cool mechanic they'd added. So I was winching all over the place. I was like, oh, I'm totally good. And winch.
You were just using like the grapple hook in Halo Infinite.
I was. Yeah, no, I was like, I'm good. We're good here. I'll just winch to whatever. Whereas I winched to the side of my car to another tree, pulled the winch, flipped my car. I did that often. There was a couple times where I was like, okay, I'm not going to do it this time, and just immediately flipped whatever truck I was in. So it's dangerous. You would describe this game as the Dark Souls of trucking games. I agree with that. It's hard. Like, you got to learn the lesson that it's trying to teach you.
Yeah, you can't just play this game. You have to play it the way it wants to be played.
Yeah, no, you definitely, like, you got to accommodate its rules. I was checking for, like, is there a difficulty slider in this game? And there's not. You will not be not learning these lessons. You have to.
I mean, that's in keeping with the vibe. The boys got to learn.
Got to learn here, hold on. Let me just... Boys got to learn the harsh realities of the Michigan road. There's mud, snow, and all sorts of nasty stuff that's going to flip your damn truck right over. People call these roads the Dark Souls of roads. Me, I just call them home. Buy a Ford F-150 this winter.
That's it. That's really what it is. It's a car ad.
It's a car ad.
Why is that so good? That has no business being that good.
I know. Yeah, it's pretty good. That's just like a garage song that they had.
That's just old Chem picking at his guitar in his garage.
Wait,
we just recorded that.
Chem?
Yeah.
Is that a variant of mine? Are we calling
it's a variant of Chet.
Okay, sure.
It's banjo guitar playing Chet. It's Chem slapback.
Chem pluck strings.
Chem pluck strings. Chem Sixstrings.
Okay, that's much better. Chem Sixstrings rules. Chem pluck strings is his weird cousin that he sometimes invites to the shows.
Chem Sixstrings versus Chet the Rat. Who will emerge victorious?
I'm going to go ahead and say Chet. Chet's like a fucked up Cthulhian horror. But at the same time, I don't know that Chet knows how to play guitar that good.
He doesn't. Maybe it's going to be like, who is that? The man who soothed the savage beast with the harp or the lyre or whatever it was in Greek mythology.
I was looking down the barrel of Cthulhian horror. My mind was flayed. But I just played these here 6 strings as best as I could. Chet the Rat quaked in his boots. As soon as he did, I got in my beautiful 2022 Ford F-150 and drove away, because that's what F-150s do.
Ford F-150. The F stands for fucking. My fucking Ford F-150.
It actually stands for Ford. There's 2 Fords in that one.
Double Ford.
Ford F-150.
My Ford F-150. This is a Ford that's made by Ford.
This is a challenging segment. I'm having a hard time talking about Snowrunner.
I mean,
Christ alive.
There's a lot of good things about it. You can switch from all-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive, depending on the situation. If you're in like deep mud, you're gonna want that all-wheel drive. You need that 4 points of traction, baby. 4 points of power to get out. Otherwise, you're gonna get stuck and you're gonna winch yourself over, like Chase did.
Like I do. I flip my truck every time.
Make sure that you take your handbrake off. Otherwise, you ain't going nowhere. Gotta release the handbrake, baby. You gotta do it. Yeah, I mean that's most of it. The game is just very realistic with the terrain and the effect of intense terrain on your car. And you really have to think about how you're going to attack segments. Like, am I going to go fast? Am I going to go slow? Am I all-wheel drive? No-wheel drive? Am I going to have to winch myself out of this? How do I do that safely? What car should I use? Do I get a bigger truck? Do I need a bigger truck? Do I need to get more money to get a bigger truck? Those are the kind of questions this game makes you ask.
It's a fun video game.
It's surprisingly fun.
I was fully expecting to not enjoy this at all.
I know. It's fun. It's fun.
I like how similar it is to Death Stranding. It's a fun sort of connection. This and Mech Warrior also felt oddly similar.
It's Mech Warrior is just a sci-fi space SnowRunner. That's where all the SnowRunners went after the 2500s. They went into space as Mech Warriors.
My pappy was born in the United States, but me, I'm a Mech Warrior. Learned to drive this beautiful 2030 FF Ford F-150. But now, me, I drive mechs. Also made by Ford.
My Ford F-150 mech assault class weapon.
With a Hemi, I guess. I don't know enough about cars, dude. I'm sorry, listener. I feel like I've overdone that joke now, but it's really
I'm still
satisfying.
enjoying it.
It's still very satisfying.
I'm enjoying it. I also like how his dad was born in the United States, but then he's a mech warrior.
Yeah, it's a different place.
It's totally different.
Upon re-listening, yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
I am a mech warrior. I
was born
I
in
exist
this mech.
beyond countries.
Listen, I don't know what else to say about Snowrunner. This is a fun video game that came out that I thought was going to be not so good. This game is on fucking Game Pass. You should try it if you have Game Pass. It's good.
Yeah. It's at least worth an hour or two of your time just to see if you like it.
Get through the tutorial and see if this is like anything you're interested in.
Yeah, exactly. If you like down home Americana type of games, if you're a real American,
If you're a real mech warrior.
and you don't like Holly Weird, you should play this game. Or even if you do like Holly Weird, just play it. It's a fun game. It's fun.
It's still a fun game,
It's just a fun
regardless
game,
of your
regardless.
opinions on Holly Weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still good.
Yeah. Do you have anything else to say about Snowrunner?
I do not.
I think I do, but I don't know how to say them.
I don't know if you can say them without playing that music in the background, Chase.
That's true. It's so tempting.
I think you're broken. I think you're a
think
little
I'm
broken
broken.
at this point.
I'm going to pull up Elden Ring next year and be like, I just got my big old sword, going to go clang and fight these Cthulian horrors.
You're just gonna walk around on your first day at the job and just be like, "Hey, I'm Chut Buppy.
I know
This
how
is
to
me
do
playing
JavaScript
guitar."
pretty well. Chem? What was his name? Chem?
Chem Sixstrings." We are on Twitter.
True.
You can tweet us at Podtimism. We're there. Interact with us. You can email us, podtimism@gmail.com, if you prefer that method of communication.
True.
We're on TikTok. I don't know if Chase has posted anything recently, but go look at our talks, our ticks. What do they call them? Videos? Our content? Just look at our content. Let's say that. You know, if you really want to help us out, you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts, or you can just like or subscribe or whatever it is on your podcasting app of choice. That's great. And you know, if you want to just like talk to a friend, be like, hey, there's kind of this cool podcast that I'm into. It's called Video Game Podtimism.
Yeah.
It's the video game variety hour with two best friends,
Yeah.
and just see if they like it. If not, great. If they do, great.
Also great.
Yeah, just spread the word if you feel so inclined. And thank you.
Thank you.
Also, thank you for listening to us. We really appreciate it that you would stick around to hear Chase do the same joke, I think probably 6 or 7 times.
5,
But
6, something like that.
It was excellent each time. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think we can keep that one run for a bit, at least with Chem Sixstrings attached to it.
Chem Sixstrings. I was just worried that we weren't making enough new characters.
This is a Chem Sixstrings joint.
And then here comes Chem strolling into my life.
He's here, baby.
You never know when you might meet the love of your life. Also, hey, Scott Wilkinson, thank you for your work on our art.
Yes,
our
Scout,
podcast art.
thank you so much. It looks beautiful.
Looks
Each
incredible.
time I see it.
Each time
Great.
it pops up in my podcast feed, I'm like, whoa, that's ours? And the answer is yes, it is.
It imbues my eyes with the essence of podtimism when I gaze upon it. Truly.
Which is, it's shocking. Amazing that somebody can do that. Again, still
Yes.
high on art, David.
You are injecting podtimism into me ocularly.
Damn, that was a cool sentence just now.
Thank you.
Does-
Thank you.
Doesn't even need the Michigan garage music behind it. That was just cool.
I think anytime I have the chance to say ocularly, it's always good, right?
Yeah, no, I get
Remember.
that. I get that.
All right. Chase, do you have any gaming wisdom for the week?
I do, and it is going to take every fiber of my being to not play the Michigan garage music from Snowrunner official soundtrack, youtube.com, to play it.
Is that your wisdom this week? Is sometimes you need to have some self-restraint?
Sometimes you really want to play the Michigan Garage Snowrunner official soundtrack at youtube.com video over your podcast.
Uh-huh.
But you're not really sure how many times legally you can get away with playing somebody else's music.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
And you think maybe 7 or 8 might be the limit. There's probably a more realistic limit at like 1, closer to 1. But maybe 7 or 8 is it. And you don't want to be that guy who's like wearing out the joke. You know, like when you get to the end of a podcast and you're like, I wish I had like 1 or 2 more instances of the same joke.
They're like, oh man, I wish I had more of that same joke here.
I wish they really drove that one to the ground. You don't want to be that person. You want to be the person that or your listeners want to be that person when they get to the end of your podcast and they're like, could have used like 1 more. I'd leave you a little wanting.
You want a little bit, yeah. Yeah. Is it coming?
Anyway, this has been fucking Video Game Podtimism. The Optimists Video Game Variety Show. Wow, hold on, pause. That was powerful. I felt power running through my veins saying that sentence.
That was some real shit. That was, it really is imbuing you with the power of Chem Sixstrings.
Wow. I thought that was going to be
biochemistry.
A joke. Jesus, dude, this is some like fucking Xant from a Twilight Princess, like imbued with Ganon or whatever. Damn, I feel strong right now.
Isn't your dad from Iowa?
My dad is he did grow up in Iowa. That is true.
It's kind of close to Michigan. I think this is just resonating with your blood, Chase.
Yeah, Chem is no myth. Chem was my grandpa. Is Chem a real name?
It is now, baby.
I think much like Chut Buttbeat, Chem is not a real word. I'm feeling a lot of ways. We talked about Halo for like an hour, and then I just sort of blacked out, and Chem was the shadow that was standing in my place.
I blacked out, woke up, and I saw a shadowy figure lurking away from me.
Playing a mean guitar lick and revving his Ford F-150.
Is Chem Sixstrings Darth Revan and you're the protagonist of KOTOR?
Oh my god, yeah, like I used to be as good as Chem on guitar, but I forgot.
No,
I have amnesia now. Jesus, sorry.
Chem. You were Chem.
Yeah, geez, wow, that would have been a twist if I am Chem. Maybe that's why the Michigan Garage Snowrunner OST YouTube.com is speaking to me so much.
It's just like, it's as though I'm speaking to myself from another life.
The whispers of the past are reaching out to greet me once again.
When is in the last Star Wars movie they called like a dyad of the Force, some shit like that. See you in Chem, baby.
See you in Chem. Anyway, see you next week for the Goaties. See you then.
See ya.
Bye.